live?
Live, sir.
Good evening and welcome you all back for yet another most awaited episode. Let us hear my school. Before we introduce the chief guest of the day, it's my pleasure once again to welcome Swamiji here, Brahmachari Maheshwar Chaitanya, who is the chairman for admissions for Amada School of Engineering across all four campuses, Chennai, Bangalore, Etimade, and Amrutapuri. He's also the deputy controller of examinations for the Amrutapuri campus, Amada School of Engineering, also the regional director for ICPC. So we all know him because we have been here on live for almost more than 80 episodes, and now it's my request to Swamiji is to shower the blessings of our Chancellor Mata Amadandamayi Deviji. And over to you, Swami, before we commence our talk on Let's Hear My School. Thank you, Swamiji, and showering the blessings to all of us. And now it's our pleasure to welcome again the most sought after CBSE trainer, right? And sought after CBSE trainer across the country. She's none other than Mrs. Lata Prakash, who is currently taken up the responsibility of the principal of IAS Public School, Trichur. And regarding her experience in teaching, we'll have just a few words with her before I'll hand it over to Swamiji for her million, billion, trillion question. So, Madam, before I start, it's no introduction is required about you because no CBSE school can exist without your being there. I'm sure in the last so many years of your teaching experience, you've been to schools, training teachers, talking to students, talking to principals, managers, correspondents, most educators across, mostly so in Kerala, but you can also be doing across the country. Ma'am, my first question to you is, how did you land up into the profession of teaching? Was it through accident or was it by choice? Ma'am, you're mute. Your microphone is, yeah, please.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, Swamiji. Namaste, sir. Sir, thank you for this question. My journey and your question is, how did I land up in the teaching profession? Is it by chance or by choice? Sir, honestly speaking, I came as a teacher, became a teacher through choice. Definitely, from the small age itself, I had a liking towards the teaching profession, which has definitely taken me to this profession itself. And long back, I became a teacher through my choice.
Absolutely. Ma'am, it is very clearly, it is very clearly seen that you have taken up this profession not by chance, by choice, because this is something which is very peculiar, and particularly I need to mention this, that it is ma'am who wanted to share certain knowledge of hers across the students and the teacher community, because she wanted to have this one more. She's appearing here for the second time on this particular episode, Let's Hear My School, and she made a request. Let me share my knowledge on the most wanted skills of the 21st century. Why I mean to say is that there are very few people like ma'am who would come forward and say, let me share. So here is where, you know, you made a change. Seeking, sort of approval or something. I said, no approval is required. We don't mind taking as many number of times as possible. Anybody who wants to share the knowledge for the benefit of the students and teacher community. So it is something very unique that I see in you, and that is what I say, that you are a teacher not by chance, but you are a teacher by choice. So welcome you back to this particular episode of the skills that one need to develop for the 21st century. When I say 21st century, it begins from 1st January 2000 and ends on the 31st December 2100. I doubt very much that we are going to be there to see this century ending, but God willingly, if there is a chance, ma'am, let's be there till 2100. So the skills that we need to develop is because it's not that the days are going to be easy for our children. The days are going to be tough, and it's going to be tougher and tougher. And what really I understand from the future for our children is it's going to be the fittest it's going to be the survival of the fittest. I'm sure that the more skills that you develop, you prosper in your life and live a happy life. So as usual, now I would request Swamiji to take on this role of leading this talk. And since Swamiji is busy with his own admission to the School of Engineering, he would be away from us after his leading the talk. Over to you, Swamiji, and welcome again to this show. Let's hear my school. Thank you so much, ma'am, for reappearing here again for sharing your knowledge with the students and teachers across the country. Thank you so much for coming. Over to you, Swami.
Thank you, Krish. Thank you, ma'am, for appearing again on the screen. So today, in fact, Krish had reminded me today morning about the session. So he sent me the content on the topic, and it is 21st century skills. See, the very context of this session, or the scenario in which we are hosting this session, is very appropriate, I would say. And whether we like or not, whether we want or not, whether we believe or not, or accept or not, teaching community and the student community have changed a lot. So there's no need to mention. So what is it that you think is required for the teachers who have been not in touch with the technology, who have been not in touch with any sort of the changes that are being taking place, and the changes are which are expected to come through the national education policy? What is it that you think is very important to survive in this profession?
Thank you, Swamiji, for this meaningful and very relevant question. As you said, the world is going through a transformation. So very recently, with the attack of the COVID-19 also, we know that there has, we have gone through, the world is still going through a lot of changes where people need to have a set of skills to get adapted to the changes. Be it a layman, be it an educated person, be it a professional, be it a teacher, or whoever it is, people all over the world should have a set of skills to get adapted at this pandemic time. So in the same way, teaching community also is going through a high transformation stage, and definitely in order to survive in this scenario, as per the national education policy, as it rightly says, there are a lot of skills required first for the teachers to impart knowledge to the students, to make them better citizens for tomorrow, beneficial youth for tomorrow. So naturally, the teachers should have the skill sets first to impart it to the students. So definitely, ICT skills, technological skills, communication skills, collaborative skills, there are a lot of skills which are required for the teachers to demonstrate for their children that these are the skills which we need to inculcate in ourselves, to imbibe from the surroundings and to learn from the others and the changing scenarios, so that we will become our survival will become necessary and successful in the upcoming future. So definitely the teachers will have to attain all these skills. That is why the skills are called as, in order to make the people fit to this present century, the skills which are required for them are called as the 21st century skills. So definitely the 21st century skills are the most relevant skills the teachers have to impart knowledge to their children. So when we talk about these 21st century skills, Swamiji, I would mention a few as an answer, as a reply to your question. That is, as I said, communication skill, technological skill, collaboration skills, and all the more life skills. Very importantly, to adapt to the changes. That is it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful answer. But let me bring in the national education policy that is being envisaged by the government, and I'm 100% sure that the change of the mindset, the change of the mindset of the teachers change in the mindset. I think it has changed a lot with this present scenario, and they must be willing to accept the change that is about to come in future. Okay, so what is it that you think, or how can they train the future generation, because they are supposed to be in the same profession maybe for next decade or 2 decades. So what is it that you think, or how can they train effectively, how can they train the future generation effectively? Because we see that the children, the students are so smarter than us. They know much and much more about technology. And when they come to the class or when they come for the session, perhaps they will be able to explain better than the teachers. So that is my experience. So how is it possible for the teachers to be competitive in this scenario, especially for the teachers who are working hard, sitting at their home and managing their other responsibilities?
Thank you, Swamiji. As you rightly said, mindset is something which is very much necessary for a person to carry on positively ahead. So in the changing scenario of the world, the teachers should have a positive attitude. Teachers should think that the different aspects required for developing the skills in the students for futuristic generation, those skills have to be attained by the children as well as the teachers, as I said some time back. But the first person to receive this, to take this positively, is nobody else but the teacher. Because if the teacher herself doesn't have a positive attitude to accept the changes which are happening around her, definitely she will not be apt enough to transform the changes to the children. So definitely there is a dire necessity for the teaching community to understand that the world is going through changes. It is a time of transformation, and these transformations are definitely bringing a lot of challenges to us. So if we need to survive facing these challenges successfully, we need to take them all positively. So let us look at the changes positively, and positive changes will definitely bring positivity and progress. So if we have an open-mindedness to accept the changes which are happening around us, definitely it will take us to a positive attitude. And if we have a positive attitude, definitely we will try to acquire all the skills which are required for the positive existence of the people around too. So definitely the teacher's positive attitude will get transformed, will get transferred from her to the generations to come, that is her children. So as you said, he or she still has to carry on with this profession for a decade. But then lots and thousands of students are passed through her hands. So definitely these children, the future generation, have to be prepared for the future world. So the attitude of the teacher is the most important, that let us accept the changes positively, will drive her to train these children to face the challenges in the world in the future.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Let me now invite Krish to take this session forward. Since I had to leave, I wish all the best for this session to all the attendees and teachers. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji, for coming and spending your time here for almost about 15 minutes now. And let me take over my discussion with ma'am, right? So thank you. Thanks again for being with us. Ma'am, it's on a topic called the 21st century skills. Now, you did mention few of the skills to Swamiji, and we all heard about it. And those are the skills which is called the learning skills. I mean, you mentioned about collaborative skill, you mentioned about communication skill, you mentioned about creative thinking skill, and you also mentioned about critical thinking skills. So these 4 C's skills are attributed to what we call as the learning skills. Now, if you have to go through this to understand how is how does all these four C's differ? For example, when you talk about creative, let's talk about the creative thinking skill. Now, if you look at a classroom, let's say about 50, 60 students, the thought process of something to do with creativeness is only with very few students. And if you have to inculcate the creative thinking into those children who have no idea about creative thinking, how could one go about, a teacher, for example, could go about imbibing these qualities of a creative thinker in the minds of all the 60 students? Is it possible, ma'am? There are two different things before you answer. There is something called a talent and there is something called a skill. Talent is inborn. The skill is developed over a period of time. So, I'm a talented dancer. Yes, fine. From the day I'm born, from my first month, I keep dancing, right? Maybe dancing in the cradle, dancing when I'm in the arms of my mom. So that talent is different. But again, you can be a good dancer once you are actually not a talented dancer. You can be a good dancer once you learn how to dance. For example, you are a teacher by choice. So something is there from the day you're born, when you started growing up as a student to degree to post-graduation, you develop that attitude or develop that liking towards teaching, you become a teacher. But there are so many teachers who didn't even think of becoming a teacher, become a teacher, but made a real good impact in their profession as teachers. So the difference in talent and skill is like talent is inborn, skill can be developed. Can we develop the skill of being a creative thinker? That's my first question. And over to you. Let's see how you go about answering my first question.
Thank you, sir, for this question. As you said, talent and skills are different. Talent is inborn, skills are acquired. But any talented person, they definitely do have an inborn capacity and inborn potential to do it. But then, if you have a flavor, if you have a taste, if you have a passion towards something, definitely it is easier for a person to develop certain skills too. So definitely the children can develop skills even if they are not born talented in some particular area. If they have a liking towards that particular area, definitely the skills could be developed for that. So teachers do have a major role to play in this. Definitely creativity and innovation. The creativity is something, a very important aspect as far as today's world is concerned. A creative person definitely does things in a different way. He thinks out of the box and he tries to do things in a different way so that, it becomes very attractive very quickly. And the world, he or she becomes recognized in a very short span of time. So it is nothing but the creativity what makes the person, different in that particular situation. So the teachers can definitely develop creativity and by developing their skills in the classroom or in the school, even at home. So creativity, we can develop the creativity, we can develop the skills in children by providing them a lot of opportunities like curiosity, open-mindedness, imagination, problem-solving skills. All these are the signs of a creative person. So definitely, if the teachers are giving certain activities in the classroom where the children get an opportunity to come out of the box, break the cocoon, and then think out of the box, think in a larger perspective, and then come to a conclusion, gathering all his reflections on the concept what he has studied. Definitely, the child gets a flavor that I have gained something. So the satisfaction what the child gets that I have done something important and I could do something important makes him have a taste and passion towards it. Continuous gearing him towards attaining this will definitely make him more and more attracted towards that particular work. So definitely he will try to explore more possibilities. He will try to identify that, yes, I have some kind of a flavor inside me towards this particular job. So definitely he will also himself try to bring it out by searching, exploring the possibilities around him. The teacher definitely has a role in this by providing a number of activities which will arouse the curiosity of the children, which will create the imaginative capacity of the children, which will make him a good problem solver, definitely the teacher can give opportunities and bring out these talents, bring out these skills, not talents, bring out these skills. Definitely the talents can be sharpened and the skills can be developed too. That's it, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You did mention about think out of the box. You mentioned about innovation, creativity. I call it as crinnovation. There is no word in English, but I call creativity plus innovation is crinnovation. So that's a new word which I have formulated. So don't search it for crinnovation. There's no such dictionary word. But this is fine. I mean, I agree with you in whatever you have mentioned that yes, this skill can be developed if there is an interest towards that particular topic. Now let's get on to the next skill of the 21st century, which you mentioned about collaboration. Collaboration is working in a team, right? I mean, it's like you have to collaborate, you have to work with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as a team, because individually we perform well. But when it comes to a team, some people don't perform, right? That's what I always believe, that individually a teacher performs very well. You leave her, you give her autonomy, let her do what she wants. But when you put her into a team of teachers, she creates problems. I mean, you being a principal for so many years, you would have known about this. And in the current situation, this is all fine. In the NEP, it is written the 21st century skills. In fact, this was all formulated for the last 3-4 years, but nobody expected COVID-19 to come in the month of March or even prior to that. But under the current situation of COVID-19, you will find the things are going to change in the future, that you are distancing people, like you don't allow the students to come closer. So there should be about 7 feet distance or 5 feet distance of each other. Under this, and this is going to be prolonging, not just for 2-3 months, it's going to prolong for the next couple of years. So when you distance students and when you don't allow people to mix, the students to mix, how will the skill of collaboration, right, mixing together, working as a team, could work in the next 2 years, ma'am? What is your thought about it? It was earlier, when this was formulated, it was in 2018. This was submitted by what is his name? What is his name, ma'am? I mean, the person who formulated NEP, Kasturi Rangan, Mr. Kasturi Rangan,
Yeah.
and he submitted in the year 2018 to MHRD. MHRD published it about 3-4 months back. So all these are fine. But in today's context, how does this collaboration, as one of those 21st skills, work today? I mean, I agree with you that even if a child gets the skill of collaborative, whatever is the learning, whatever is the skill of 21st century, when he moves into corporate, when he goes and works for a company, they all look at not as individual performers. They look at as how does a candidate perform in a group, because what you can score in terms of performance by single, but when you mix with 4 of them, which becomes 5, the performance level will become 100 times more or even 80 to 90 times more. So they all will look at a person's capacity or the potential to work in a team rather than work individually. So in the next 2 years, how will you teach this, or how will you create this 21st century skill of collaboration? I think by now you would have had some ideas coming into your mind, and I'm confident that you'll be able to give us an answer to that. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. This is a good question, especially at this pandemic time. Now, when the children are seated in their homes and learning online, they are doing the activities online. The teachers are teaching online. Even we are interacting online. How this collaborative skill is going to be developed by a student being at home? When I mentioned that collaboration is a skill which falls under 21st century skills, and it is very much necessary for a person to grow and work as a team. How this is going to happen on this virtual media, virtual platforms. So definitely I agree with you that there is a constraint at present that the children are not able to come forward to their school physically. They are not able to interact and mingle with their friends and children, other class children, or their schoolmates or their teachers. And then how are they going to gain these collaborative skills? Very important. But as we say, even now, when the teaching learning process is happening online, there are a lot of activities which are being taken by the teachers in the classrooms. Even though the children, if there are 60 children or 50 children or 35 children seated in a classroom, but not exactly in a classroom physically, but in 60 different houses or 30 different houses or 40 different houses, they are sitting and listening to one person who is interacting with every one of them. So definitely the children are gaining the capacity, the skill of collaborating online too. And when the teacher is talking to the children online, the children are listening, the children are getting the potential, the children are getting the skill that, yes, this is the way I have to collaborate with others even if I'm working online. So when the child is presenting something, for example, a PowerPoint presentation, he would have definitely made it at his home, sitting in his home, but he is going to show it online means he is presenting it for the entire people who are seated in the classroom and then getting their opinion, sharing his viewpoints on this, and then when he asks certain questions to his friends or classmates, or when the teacher asks a few questions to the children, definitely it makes everybody think at a time. It makes everybody think at a time. Now, when the teacher is throwing a question to the children online, every child who is seated in his or her house start thinking on the point what the teacher has asked. Definitely, even though he has started thinking, he need to understand that there are 35 people or 60 people along with me seated in the same platform. So I need to wait for my chance. Equally, I need to take care that using all the resources and the thought processes, I have to empower my knowledge so that everybody get a chance to, deliver their share of knowledge. And equally, I will also be getting a share of, getting a role, getting a chance to share my share of knowledge so that it has to be collaborated well, and only then the answer to the question will be framed out well. So it becomes a structured process. It becomes a structured process that we have to be online, we are online, and furthermore, we may, as you said, we may go online for another 2 years or in the coming future, because 21st century skills tell us that the world is going to be so. So definitely, we need to start thinking right now onwards that being online or being in virtual platforms, we should share the knowledge, giving a chance for the others also to speak out, giving a chance for the others also to listen to the others too, and give respect to the others too, and then share the knowledge with the others too, and then work on tools and projects so that it becomes a teamwork. And this teamwork definitely will be inherited, will be imbibed and acquired by the children, so that once they come back to the school physically, they will definitely be understanding that, yes, my friend also has a say and I must give him a space to talk. I must give him a chance to express his viewpoints too. And within one time at simultaneously, two people cannot talk. Only one person can talk. So I have to wait for my friend to talk, and then I have to listen, or I have to wait for my chance to come. So this will definitely, even though it is working online, sir, I do definitely feel that this online also has taught a lot of collaborative skills in children. Now the children are doing the projects online, but they know that my friend is also there with me to share his part of knowledge. So I have to wait patiently for him, because it is my responsibility also to see to it that my friend also presents well. This definitely instills a thought in the mind of the child that everybody in the world has a space and we need to accommodate. And this will definitely give the collaborative skills for him in the upcoming future too. That's it, sir.
Well said. And something which I heard from you, that when somebody talks, the other listens. When the other talks, somebody else listens. And let me come on to the next third skill. Third 21st century skill is on communication. Now, most of us are confused about communication. Communication is just not somebody who talks well is a good communicator. For my understanding, communication is sending information and receiving information. So that's what is communication. You have to send and then receive. A good communicator is one who sits and listens, and not that who sits and talks. So that is what I look at communication is all about. So when you are talking, I was silent. When I'm asking you some clarification, you are silent and listening. But in my understanding of things, ma'am, like when you talk about the communication, today there's lack of communication among teachers to teachers, teachers to students, students to teachers. It's all, one-sided communication, right? The teacher keeps on briefing about a particular topic, and then poor guys keep listening. But then, example is that when the students are in the school, I seen students are allowed to come to the stage during the prayer, read those news for the day. There are some poems recited by children. A lot of activities, even that 15 to 20 minutes, which is lacking today. And students also, they keep communicating. You can see the 4 or 5 friends together. They keep talking, and the others keep listening. They keep laughing. All these things have gone. And one more thing which I want to talk to you about is how good are our teachers in communicating. The teachers are, maybe taking good classes. They know the subject very well, but they don't listen to students. So I said, if you have to look at communication is not just one way, you'll have to also receive information. And teachers don't permit the students to ask questions. I don't know, some teachers, most of the teachers get angry when the students ask questions. I think you're just giving a big smile. So how do we improve all this? Communication is both-sided. It's not from teacher to students. I have seen it when I conduct classes, I always allow them to ask me questions, because when they ask me questions, it's a learning for us. So how do you improve upon? How do you make a teacher change first and then change the student? Because students, you can't just straight away change. So because students look at the teacher as a role model. When they look at the teacher as a role model, we need to change the teachers. And let me tell you, ma'am, that's not easy to change teachers who have been above 45, 50 years. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are less than 50 years. I'm much ahead of 60 years plus. But young teachers, maybe you are into the profession recently, you can always change. But beyond a level of 40, the people who have put in 15 years of experience of teaching, they say, hey, come on, man, what is this principal talking to me? I know what is teaching. What is, that attitude I've seen at least about 70 to 80%. So under the circumstances, how do you train, how do you educate our teachers to be good communicators? And once you change them, we need to carry on this exercise with our students. So straight away, teachers to student, nothing will happen. I write it and give it to you, nothing is going to happen. So over to you, ma'am. As a principle of experience and exposure, how will you change the mentality of the teachers, which you did mention now, as convert them as excellent communicators, right? Excellent communicator, I still define a teacher who can communicate well about a subject and also receive communication from the students. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. As you said, communication is a very strong weapon, and a person who communicates very effectively is the person who conveys his messages very easily and simply to the other person. So if a teacher has to be very effective in her classroom, she should definitely know to communicate effectively with her children. The first thing what we need to talk to the teacher is that we need to create an awareness in the minds of the teachers that a teacher has to be a good communicator first, and then she should start delivering her lessons or his lessons in the classroom. Because unless the teacher becomes a good communicator, as you said, nothing is going to be possible in the classroom and no child is going to listen to the teacher. So, and the next thing what we need to educate, we need to, convince the teachers is that communication is not a one-way process. As you said, it's a two-way process and both the parties are equally important. If the sender is important, the receiver is also very, very important. So even if the sender gives a very strong message, the receiver has to be patient and listening to the sender so that the message is received properly. If the message is received properly only, the outcome of the message will be done well. And as a teacher, when somebody is teaching inside the classroom, if I am teaching inside the classroom, if I am not a good communicator, definitely the message or the concept what I taught in my classroom to the children will not reach them because they didn't have any interest to listen to me. They do understand that I am a one-sided communicator. I never allow a chance for the child to talk, open up and speak. So definitely the child feels that he became unaccounted or unimportant in the class. And there is a dire necessity for us to convince the teachers that the message or the concept what the teacher gives to the children has to be, acquired or gained or attained by the child very importantly. He has to look at it very important, means he has to be given importance first. He should be considered as the most important person in the classroom. Each and every child in the classroom is very precious. So the teacher becomes precious only if she could deliver the lessons to the children in a precious manner. When every child seated in the classroom of a teacher tells that I have got an excellent teacher in mathematics or science or English, and he or she tries to take out the name of the teacher, telling that he or she is an excellent teacher because she makes my lessons the most simple. That is the excellence of a teacher. So for this, the first thing the teacher has to do is convince what is he trying to do with the concept in the class. And for that, taking the children into confidence is something very, very important. Unless the teacher is not able to do this, there is nothing going to happen. So In order to become a good communicator, the teacher should know definitely that my child who is seated in front of me in the classroom is more important than me, because if he tells that I have received the concept very important, very simple and very easy, then only I become important as a teacher and I become recognized as a teacher. So the teacher has to understand that the survival of the teacher depends upon the opinion of the child, sir. If the child says that I haven't understood what my teacher has explained in the classroom, there goes the value of the teacher, that the teacher became a failure, that she couldn't convey her message properly to the children. So definitely, if a teacher has to be a successful teacher, she has to inspire the children to listen to them, to give them importance. Consider that he is the VIP in the classroom and my survival depends on his opinion. So I have to see that he is taken into confidence. I am listening to him, and then he is important. And only if I give importance to what he talks, what he does, I will be able to deliver my content in an easy manner to the child. So every teacher, it is necessary for every teacher to understand this, that there are a lot of skills, requirements to become a good communicator. So sender and receiver are equally important. Sender becomes important or highlighted only if the receiver receives it properly. So the message has to be conveyed in the proper manner. The teacher has to understand this. As principals, or as educationists, what we can do is we have to first convince the teacher what is communication and how effectively a teacher has to communicate to deliver her content effectively in the classroom. So teacher, there is no second option, sir. The teacher has to accept the fact that I have to be a good communicator for my children. Convincing them only is the best solution for this.
Ma'am, I don't know what is your opinion about, well said, and I just want to know about your opinion. I've read that communication can never be taught. Agree, disagree, that's a way we can argue on that. Communication cannot be taught, but there are only 3 C's of communication. To be a good communicator, as you rightly mentioned, to be an effective communicator, there are only 3 C's. The first C is communicate, the second C is communicate, third C is communicate. So communicate are the only 3 C's which can help you to be an effective communicator. Now, now under these circumstances, I'm talking to you from the COVID-19 experiences. How do we make our teachers communicate, man? And I mean, you said, okay, I agree. Okay, I don't want you to talk to me about how you already mentioned to that. What do you think about this? Can you teach communication, or it can be only those 3 C's, communicate? What is your thought on that? I may be wrong in what I'm saying. You can always correct me. I stand corrected. Over to you, ma'am.
You are right, sir. Communication is not something which we can teach, but communication is something which we can demonstrate.
Absolutely,
so, yeah. So as leaders, now, for example, in my school, when I sit as a leader of more than 150 members, I have to first demonstrate the quality that I listen to you. I have to, demonstrate my quality as a good listener to my team. And I have to demonstrate that when I listen to you, what is happening to me. I will never be able to give an answer in a proper way or solve a problem in a proper way unless I have the potential and tolerance and patience to listen to the person. So if I demonstrate that, definitely my colleagues will also understand that, yes, listening is very important. Instead of me telling 100 times, you have to listen to him carefully, why can't I show it to them that it is important for us to listen to him patiently? Otherwise, I will not be able to understand what is he talking. When I am not able to understand what is he talking, I go confused, and that comes as a boomerang on myself, that I will not be able to give an answer properly to him, and his problem never gets solved because I couldn't listen to him properly. So such kind of examples and demonstrations can definitely make people think that, yes, it is important to listen. And instead of stopping people from asking questions, let us be patient and tolerant, and let us demonstrate that, yes, we have to listen to people patiently. Only then we will be able to answer them. If I'm not able to listen to you, how will I be able to answer you? My answer may go wrong. So listen, that is one thing, and then comprehend, and then pass the message in a very short and simple manner so that this is the easiest method and the work is done simply. Demonstrating things and becoming role models. A principle has to be, a principle is followed by many people, observed by many people. Similarly, a teacher is also a person who has been always observed by thousands of children. So we should have those kind of qualities in ourselves, which any child will definitely like to follow and then imbibe in them. As you said, communication cannot be taught, but it can be demonstrated well so that others will imbibe in them. That's it, sir.
After listening to you, ma'am, I have a feel that you would have converted or transformed quite a number of good communicating teachers into best communicating teachers. So I was listening to you for almost about 41 minutes from the time we started at 1600 hours. Now it's 1641. So I'm very confident about it. There are many teachers who would have, after listening to you, if at all they have listened to you, and if at all they are not listened to you, my request to all my teachers who are listening to ma'am now, continue to listen and let's take on from the role model. As she rightly mentioned, that communication cannot be taught, but communication can be copied. Communication can be rehearsed. Communication can be practiced. Why not? So I'm very, very happy about the reply that you gave to me on the question as to whether communication can be taught or communication can be learned. So both things will not happen. My next fourth skill, which I want to talk to you about, this also you did mention about, is the critical thinking. Now, why do you make your student or the teacher to critically think is to create them, develop them as good problem solvers. But in many occasions, sometimes the teachers are problem givers and not solvers. I mean, they give a lot of problem to principals. She's laughing. I also know quite a few teachers as much as I know principals. And in today's context, a good person, if you're not able to give a solution to a problem, or you are not able to give the right solution to a problem, you don't stand anyway in the future. You cannot be a successful human being unless you solve problems. And solving problem is not just by lottery, picking up no, you must have an experience of solving problems. And you being a principal, right, you would have had many such occasions where you had to take decisions. Decision delayed is decision denied. So under these circumstances, if you have delayed decisions, right, and saying this is the right way of going about, that means if you deny a decision, that is gone forever. You will never make a right decision. So your problem can never be solved. Now, my question to you is, in today's context, the teachers have no opportunity to even decide on number of solutions that you can create for a problem. Forget the choosing the right solution. Even if you ask a teacher, because the principals have become so much, like they always would like to help the teachers. The mind is good. The tendency of a principal is good. But in my opinion, that we must give our teachers an opportunity to at least come out with 5 or 6 solutions to a particular problem, and then they come to you, ma'am, what should be the right solution that we need to pick? You just support them, you just guide them. But it's not happening today, because you see any school you go, principal is very busy, because principal picks up on every issue to give solutions to teachers. Why do you do it? First of all, let the teachers make mistakes. Even I tell the teachers, allow your children to make mistakes. The teachers watch the students and they stop them from making mistakes, because we say you learn by mistakes. The parents don't allow their children to make mistakes. Before they commit a mistake, hey, come on, don't do it. So my personal opinion, if a child has to fall, let the child fall, right? Even break a leg, doesn't matter, you can repair the leg, but let them fall and experience what fall is all about. In today's context, I blame the principal, I blame the teachers, I blame the parents of finding solution to a problem. So when you talk about this, how can we talk about critical thinking? Critical thinking is, again, looking beyond, the normal answers, giving some unique solutions to a problem. But it is not happening today. And it has to happen if you have to survive, as you rightly said, if you have to survive in the future for our children, to survive with corporates, survive as business people, survive as scientists, whichever profession you pick, the critical thinking has to start working in the minds of students. So when I mentioned these problems before I asked you a question, with this problem still continuing, how as a principal you think you can solve this problem of teachers not solving the problems, thus by our students also not getting into the usual stuff of solving problems. It's all easily said that, critical thinking. If you have to ask me, how do I critically think? Like for example, this is a pen. What is this pen used for, ma'am? This pen is used for, what is it? I'm asking you a question, principal ma'am. This pen is used for what?
Pen is used for writing. There are several purposes.
No. Pen is used for writing, right? When I critically think, ma'am, I can also use it for this, right?
Yes.
This is critical thinking. So these type of thinking, how do you develop in the teacher and then translate it to the students? Over to you. Hope I didn't ask a tough question. I asked only very simple questions. So I didn't ask any tough questions to you on this.
You asked a very relevant question, sir. Very meaningful. The question is very relevant. Everybody says that we are with problems, but then are we to discuss problems and then waste our time? What is the use of going on discussing problems for a long time? Instead, as you said, we have to come to solutions. So making decisions will end up in solutions. So definitely, if we need to think of solutions, we need to decide also well. So if we need to decide well, we need to think critically. As you said, a critical thinker will himself or herself ask a number of questions. Now, you asked a right question. What is this pen used for? Definitely, the first thing what came to my mind is pen is used for writing. Equally, it could be used for several other purposes too.
I use it for this.
Yeah. You used it in a different way too. So, one thing, multi-purpose, we can use it for. And a critical thinker should definitely think. A person, if he wants to solve his, reach a decision and solve his problem, he has to definitely think about himself. Who am I? What is happening? What is happening around me? When this problem is happening, what is happening around me? So he needs to analyze the problem. And then once why is it so important? Why it has come like this? What is the reason for this? Why is it important that this problem I have to settle soon? Or what will happen if this problem prevails like that? Will it affect me in my work in some other way? And why don't I see this problem? What is my problem? Why am I not able to, foresee this problem and go ahead? Yes. And how do I know that I am into some problem? Definitely. How will I know that this problem has come up or this problem may come up? And who is saying this? It is very important. It's very important that who is talking about this problem and what else can happen? How can it come? So we need to think critically. We need to think not direct, but as you said, indirectly we have to think what else can happen. That's very important. There is a direct phase for any answer. But if we think in a twisted manner, if we think from different angles and perspectives, we will get different solutions. So when we come to solutions, it is very much important that we must analyze the problem very much in depth, in different angles, so that we come to the right decision. If we are not in the right decision, the decision will be going wrong and definitely we will be falling into trouble. And as a principal, when I am seated, definitely, sir, the question is very relevant. As a principal, as a leader, I may be having a tendency to, solve my problem and show my proficiency as a principal in quickly solving the problem, but not that what I'm supposed to do as a team leader, because a real leader develops many leaders. So if I have to find many leaders around me, if I'm a well-wisher of my teachers who want my teachers to become as leaders and principals of tomorrow, I need to give them chances for that. So I need to give them an opportunity to face a problem and then, think on it critically and then find a solution. And then, as you said, out of a few, pick the right one. So only then they will come to that particular point that, yes, when these kind of situations arise, this is the way I need to face this. So when I become a leader or when I sit on this chair as a principal later, I may have to face these kind of problems. And this is the way I can think, I can, analyze the problems, I can think on it and I can work out and successfully lead it. The same way The teachers in the classrooms can also give a lot of problems to the children. When we give problems only, questions, the solutions come up. I always tell my teachers that let challenges, don't get desperate for challenges because challenges make you efficient. Challenges bring out our efficiency. If you are able to overcome the challenge very coolly, courageously, and confidently with right solutions, with right decisions, it will definitely increase your efficiency that later in the future, if you come across another bigger challenge, you will definitely be there, as a successful person to solve the problem. You will never become failed. So we need to create opportunities for the teachers, and the teachers have to give opportunities for the children to face problems, find their own solutions, think critically, and develop from that. That is my answer for you, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful. I think, ma'am, you well explained about those learning skills for the 21st centuries, and I'm sure that most of us have now understood what are this collaborative, what are this critical, what are this creative, and what are this communication skills that one need to, and how to go about implementing this for the teachers, and then teachers take it down to the classrooms. We have two more such skills under the heading which is called literacy skills. When I say literacy skills, I would talk on the informations. When I talk on the informations, like how the teachers and the students will be able to analyze the facts and figures and the data that are available. When I give you a data, that the students and the teachers, of course, I'm talking for the benefit of the students, one has to have the skill of analyzing a data. It's not that everybody, when I give you statistics, you must be able to analyze. When I give you some facts, you must be able to analyze which is right, which is wrong, and then conclude on the outcomes of those particular facts, figures, statistics, and the data. So that is one information, which I call it as I, on this literacy skill. The second, which I call, is the media. Today, media is everywhere. When I talk about the media, every child must know which media talks the truth, which talks the false news. So, and which media, if you're going to advertise, you'll get more responses. So on the media front, our children must be taught as to which to believe, which not to believe. Number two, because today you find 90% of the media media news is all sometimes beyond imagination. So that is number two. I for information, M for media, and the third is technology. Regarding technology, Swami did ask a question that our children must have the skill to know what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, what is IoT, what is cybersecurity, what is blockchain, what is what. Anything that you talk on information in technology, that because the future is going to be STEAM. It's going to be science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and computer science. Right? STEAM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics is equal to computer science. So technology is one skill which each and everyone must inculcate in the minds of the teachers and students. So I'm not touching on the literacy of 21st century. It's all this information, media, and technology, which technology Swami took over. Let me talk about the intrinsic skills, what we talk about the life skills. When I talk about the life skill, which I talk about the flips, right? When I saw flips, the first is the flexibility in our teachers and students. Are they flexible? That's number one. I want you to just overall answer this, because the main is on the learning skills, which we discussed. So one is the flexibility. Are our children flexible? Are our children flexible to have food in a 5-star hotel? As well as, are they willing to sit in the roadside and have? Are they flexible to learn early in the morning or late in the evening? Are they able to flexible to probably starve one day, 24 hours, nothing is going to happen? So, that is the flexibility. That's number one. So the L is the leadership. As you mentioned about the leadership, the principal must be a leader. She should impart the knowledge of leadership to the teachers so that they become leaders and become principals. The second is the leadership. The third is the initiative. When I talk about the initiative, how many of our teachers take the initiative? If you say there's a school day, how many teachers will come forward? Ma'am, you relax. I will take over this. I will take over this. Don't worry. How many such teachers come with initiative? So FLI, the other P is productivity. Because we all look at the productivity, like, when you go to a corporate, they look at the productivity. As a particular work or a particular task is done by X student or X teacher, in half an hour, somebody does it 10 minutes. So they look at the productivity. And the last S stands for what I call is the society, social. You call it as social. So when I say social, are they connected to society? How do they do about the networking? How are they having the link with people? And like, you are a good networker. I've seen, even in your YouTuber, I see the number of people who watch your watch your talk is beyond imagination. So you are got that S. That doesn't mean you don't have FLIP. You also have FLIP and S, but the number of viewers in your case is far ahead. Sometimes more than 1,000, sometimes it's 1.2, 1.5. So that part of you have. So I want you to do a sort of mix it up and say, how do we go about having all this flips into the minds of our teachers and then transfer it to the student community? And we have just covered about a 4-minute most to strike 5. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Flips is something very much important. As you said, rightly said, flexibility, then, leadership and responsibility, then initiative, and then productivity, and then society. We know that all these come together. If a person has to become a good leader, leadership is something, when we talk about leadership and responsibility, it is that you inspire people not by showing them how amazing you are, but by showing them how amazing they are. That is a sign of a good leader. So each teacher in the classroom is a good leader for the children. So we have to inspire the children inside the classroom. We need to make them very flexible. For that, as I said some time back, the teacher should have a flexibility mind to show, to become a role model for her children, and then prove that, yes, at certain times, you have to be flexible. You cannot be rigid, because a tree which does not bend when a storm is there get uprooted because it doesn't have the flexibility. Otherwise, it would just simply bend, but because it is not able to bend, it doesn't have the flexibility to bend, it gets uprooted. So the total destruction happens. So flexibility is a very good quality one should have, especially in the upcoming future. And leadership skills, definitely, that we have to inculcate in the children. And those leadership skills we can develop in them by giving them a lot of opportunities. As you said, let the children do and learn. So when they do, they learn from their mistakes. And definitely, when they learn from their mistakes, they will never repeat the same mistake again. So responsibility activities should be given, and then children should be able to, they should be inspired to take some, their own initiative to do something. We have to inspire them so that they take the initiative, help out the teacher in the classroom, or do something for their friends, do something towards the school. And it is their school. Let us do something first in our school, and then let us start doing something for the society. Definitely, that is a skill we need to initiate. Children have to initiate, and we need to prove it before them. And then, productivity, definitely. The children have to read and read. They have to praise. We have to praise the children for more. We have to, involve in them in researching projects and all those. We have to make them accountable too. And as you said, social skills, something very important, because we live in a society. All the children, all the products from our school or from our institution goes to the society. So we should be proudly telling that I have given, or we have given, our team has given a very good set of good products to the society. We can be proud of it. So if we try to develop the quality of flips in the children, definitely, sir, any institution will produce the best citizens for tomorrow. That is my opinion about flips, sir. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure with the words of ma'am, we're going to flip on. We're going to flip on and flip on the future. As rightly said, the most important part of the discussion is of being a leader. And if you are to be a leader, I still remember the words of our Dr. Abdul Kalam when he was a scientist in ISRO, when the chairman was Mr. Anil Dhawan, and when the first shuttle went up, tuck, it came, fell on the sea, right, Arabian Sea or some sea, it went. And Anil Dhawan, the chairman, called Dr. Abdul Kalam for a press meet, and he mentioned that, look, it has gone up, it has fallen, it is my responsibility, right? It is because of me it has fallen. Right, it is my mistake. But when the second time when the shuttle went up without a fall, he called for the press meet and he said, it has gone up all because of these people who are working for it. So that is what is the leadership all about. And I wish I keep on talking to ma'am, but then all that begins well have to end well. So thank you so much, ma'am. I have the habit of closing it on time, beginning it on time. And thank you so much for being with us again for the second time. And hopefully, we have a third meeting because Malayalamil parayum ഒന്ന് തൊട്ടാ മൂന്ന് എന്ന് പറയും. So we have just completed 2, and hopefully we'll have you again for yet another elaborative, descriptive, informative talk from ma'am.
Thank you
Mrs.
so
Lata,
much.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. I
Thank
know
you
you
so
want to say
much.
something.
Thank you so much, Professor Krish. As we discussed in the beginning, I have asked for this session because I know very well that this is a demonstration. Like I know very well that when you definitely give these kind of questions to me, I have to think critically because you are a person, you are a very wise person, sir. And you
Come on.
will be asking questions with wisdom. And definitely, since it is a show, I have to answer properly. So I was very curiously listening to you, like where each word I was listening to you, so that I was thinking I should be able to answer him properly because such a wonderful questioning technique you have got. And this is a wonderful experience what you are giving to the resource people or the principals or any educationists, sir, because that is why I asked for a second opportunity because I love this. Thank you so much for this, and may God bless you with much more skills to become like this and spread your knowledge to people across the world. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I am very much thankful to Professor Krish as well as the team Amrita Swamiji too. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, you said I don't see. I don't question anybody. I have no competency or potential to question. I only ask questions. So I never questioned you at all because you are much more knowledgeable in your commitment and responsibilities. So I only asked you questions, and those questions are asked for our clarification. And let me tell you that you have clarified each and every doubts that we had, clarified it so well, and your session will be certainly utilized by many of us in the future because your session will be cut into pieces, not because your answers are bad. My questions will be cut into pieces and madam's answers will be put onto YouTube, and people who want to watch it again to relearn whatever ma'am has said can watch on Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham YouTube channel, and it will be available 24/7. So on behalf of Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, ma'am, we have the pleasure of once again re-entry to the most awaited episode, Let Us Hear My School. So thanks to all who have been with us listening to ma'am's elaboration on the 21st century skills, and I hope it has benefited all. And I've learned a lot from you about all these 21st century skills, and let me become a better person who can ask much wiser questions in the future with people who come to this particular episode. Thank you so much. So on behalf of AVVP, let me say goodbye to all of you. So till we meet again, it's Jai Hind. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Thank
Yes,
you.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.